Welcome to this video on symbolic interactionism, which is a sociological framework that sheds light on how individuals make sense of their actions, interactions, and experiences. Have you ever wondered why we interpret things differently, or how our social experience shapes our sense of self? This framework emphasizes the importance of communication and the meanings we attach to objects, people, and interactions, as well as the behaviors that reflect those meanings. In this video, we will explore the central concepts of symbolic interactionism, and in particular, the ideas of George Herbert Mead. Mead's work emphasizes the importance of gestures in communication and outlines a three-stage process of self-discovery and development. So, let's dive into this fascinating framework and explore how our everyday lives and environment shape our social experience and sense of self. To start, let's start with the definition. Symbolic interactionism is a sociological framework that focuses on the different meanings individuals attach to objects, peoples, and interactions, as well as the corresponding behaviors that reflect those meanings and or interpretations. It is a framework that actualizes the nature of humans, their everyday life, and environment. And George Herbert Mead was an influential figure in this field of symbolic interactionism. According to George Herbert Mead, gestures play a crucial role in communication. When we communicate with others, our body language, tone of voice, and even our facial expressions can convey just as much meaning as the words we speak. These nonverbal cues can either reinforce or contradict what we are saying, making them an essential part of our overall message. For instance, imagine someone telling you they're fine, but their tone of voice is monotone and their arms are crossed. This nonverbal behavior suggests that they're not actually fine, despite what they're saying, except if they naturally have a monotone voice. According to George Herbert Mead, the self is at the heart of our personality, encompassing our self-awareness and self-image. But how do we develop our sense of self? Mead believed that this process unfolds through three stages: the preparatory stage, play stage, and game stage. Through these stages, we use gestures to understand and express ourselves and eventually develop our own unique generalized other. In other words, to him, our self is not fixed, but rather a dynamic creation that is shaped by our interactions with others. On the concept of the generalized other, it is a central idea in George Herbert Mead's theory of the self. The generalized other refers to the collective attitudes, values, and norms of a society that an individual internalizes and uses as a reference point for their own behavior and decision-making. Mead believed that the generalized other is a crucial aspect of the self-discovery process because it provides the individual with a sense of what is socially acceptable and what is not. This sense of social norms and expectations helps individuals understand how they should behave and respond in different situations. The generalized other is not a fixed entity, but rather a dynamic and ever-changing concept that evolves as society changes. Mead believed that the individual's internalization of the generalized other is a lifelong process, and that it is an essential part of the development of a fully formed self. In summary, the generalized other is a key component of Mead's theory of the self and plays an important role in the process of self-discovery and the development of a sense of self.
And now, here's George Herbert Mead's process of self-discovery, which consists of three stages. 1. The preparatory stage. This stage involves the individual taking on the attitudes and perspectives of others. This allows them to see the world from different points of view and understand the attitudes and behaviors of others. For instance, a student in a classroom learning from their teacher and peers. They might observe the attitudes and perspectives of others on various topics and use this information to form their own opinions and beliefs. Another example is a new employee at a company observing the behavior and attitudes of their colleagues and superiors. They might take note of how others interact with each other and how they approach their work, and use this information to inform their own behavior in the workplace. 2. A play stage. This stage is characterized by the individual actively experimenting with different roles and perspectives in a playful manner. They try out different attitudes and behaviors to see how they fit and how others react. In this stage, a young child might observe the behavior and attitudes of important figures in their environment, such as their parents or other adults, and experiment with replicating these behaviors and attitudes. For example, a young boy might watch his father shave and then try to imitate the process by pretending to shave his own face with a blunt object. Another example would be a college student trying out different extracurricular activities to find their passion. They might join a sports team, a music club, or a volunteer organization, and experiment with different roles and responsibilities to see what they enjoy and what fits their skills and interests. 3. The game stage. In this final stage, the individual internalizes the attitudes and behaviors they have learned in the previous stages and applies them in more serious, real-life situations. They have a clear understanding of the roles and expectations of others, and they use this knowledge to guide their own behavior and decision making. In this stage, children apply what they have learned from playing with different roles to real life situations. For example, while playing a team sport, a child will use their understanding of the roles of their teammates and opponents to successfully navigate their own role within the game. Another example is an adult in the workforce who has internalized the norms and expectations of their workplace. They understand the roles and responsibilities of their colleagues and superiors, and they use this knowledge to guide their own behavior and decision making in their job.
In this process, Mead emphasized the role of social interaction and communication in shaping the self and the development of a sense of self.
There are three main premises of symbolic interactionism. 1. The role of symbols. Symbolic interactionism posits that symbols, such as gestures, words, and objects, play a crucial role in shaping our understanding of the world and our interactions with others. It argues that the meanings that we attach to symbols are not fixed, but are shaped by our interactions with others. The first premise of symbolic interactionism asserts that meaning is a crucial aspect of human existence and that it is both subjective and individualistic. People act based on the meanings they construct for things, people, and experiences. For example, the meaning of the concept of a book can differ between a scholar and someone who struggles academically. The scholar may associate books with intellectual stimulation, while the latter may associate them with fear and resentment. Social interaction also plays a role in shaping meaning, as nonverbal gestures such as furrowing one's brow can evoke different emotions in the speaker and convey varying messages to the audience. Additionally, the meaning of a role like parent can differ greatly between individuals, with some perceiving it as warm and supportive, while others see it as autocratic and punitive. 2. The importance of social interaction. Symbolic interactionism emphasizes the importance of social interaction in shaping our understanding of the world and our place in it. It argues that our interactions with others are what give meaning to our experiences and help us develop a sense of self. The second premise of symbolic interactionism states that people develop their own unique symbolic references through the process of socialization. It suggests that people are not born with the ability to interpret and understand human behavior, but rather develop this understanding through their relationships and interactions with others. For example, a young child may associate good behavior with a smile from their parents. As they encounter similar positive experiences throughout their life, they will be prompted to use the same symbolic demonstration that they initially associated with such acts. This process of socialization helps people establish a set of symbolic references that shape their behavior and decision-making. 3. The dynamic nature of reality. According to symbolic interactionism, reality is not fixed or objective, but is constantly being constructed and reconstructed through our interactions with others. It argues that our understanding of the world is shaped by our experiences and our interactions with others, and that this understanding is constantly evolving. The third premise of symbolic interactionism acknowledges that behavior is acquired through a subtle learning process that is influenced by cultural factors. It emphasizes the cultural dimension of symbolic development and how cultural norms and values shape our understanding of the world. For example, the amount of physical space considered appropriate for personal interactions can vary greatly between cultures, as can attitudes towards physical displays of affection like hugs and kisses. Some cultures are more open to physical contacts like hugs, while some other cultures are only limited to personal situations. This premise highlights the importance of cultural factors in shaping our symbolic references and how they inform our behavior and decision-making. For example, in Russia, smiling can have a different cultural significance compared to other cultures. In Russia, smiling is not always seen as a universal sign of happiness and friendliness. To them, it can be a sign of weaknesses or insincerity. So, Russians usually maintain a serious or neutral expression. In contrast, in cultures like the United States, smiling is often seen as a sign of friendliness and openness, and it is common for people to smile frequently in social and business interactions. In this culture, smiling is seen as a way to build rapport and create a positive atmosphere. In Philippines, smiling is seen as a sign of friendliness, hospitality, and warmth.
As a reminder, it's a generalization and common observation, and there will always be some people who are outside the norm. Again, it is important to recognize that cultural norms are not absolute, and that there will always be individuals who do not conform to these norms. These cultural values and norms surrounding smiling demonstrate how cultural values can shape symbolic references and behavior, even for something as seemingly universal as smiling. These three premises of symbolic interactionism are central to the perspective's emphasis on the role of symbols, social interaction, and the subjective nature of reality in shaping our experiences and understanding of the world. And there are the different schools of symbolic interactionism. The different schools of symbolic interactionism all share a common focus on the importance of symbols and social interaction in shaping our experiences and behavior. They each offer a unique perspective on the role of symbols and social interaction in shaping our understanding of the world and our place in it, highlighting different aspects of these processes.
Here are some of the schools of symbolic interactionism. 1. The Chicago School. This school of thought emerged from the University of Chicago in the 1920s and 1930s and is associated with the work of George Herbert Mead and Herbert Blumer. It focuses on the importance of symbols, gestures, and language in shaping our experiences and behavior, and emphasizes the role of social interaction in shaping our understanding of the world. 2. The Iowa School. This school of thought is associated with the University of Iowa and is sometimes considered a sub-school of symbolic interactionism. It focuses on the study of emotions and the ways in which emotions shape our experiences and behavior. Key figures associated with the Iowa School include Sylvan Tompkins and Norman K. Denson. 3. The California School. This school of thought emerged from the University of California in the 1960s and 1970s and is associated with the work of Harold Garfinkel and Irving Goffman. It focuses on the importance of everyday social interactions in shaping our understanding of the world, and highlights the ways in which people use symbols and perform roles in their everyday interactions. 4. The Dramaturgical School. This school of thought is associated with the work of Irving Goffman and focuses on the ways in which people present themselves in social interactions. It argues that people present different fronts or faces in different social situations, and that these presentations are shaped by the expectations and norms of the situation. 5. The Phenomenological School. This school of thought is associated with the work of Alfred Schutz and focuses on the subjective experiences of individuals in the world. It emphasizes the importance of understanding the perspectives and experiences of others, and argues that social reality is constructed through our interactions with others. 6. The Indiana School. This school of thought emerged from Indiana University in the 1950s and 1960s and is associated with the work of Howard S. Becker, Peter L. Berger, and Thomas Luckman. It focuses on the study of the construction of reality and the ways in which people collectively create and maintain a shared understanding of the world. 7. Ethnomethodology. This field is distinct from symbolic interactionism but related, and is associated with the work of Harold Garfinkel. It is concerned with the study of how people make sense of their social world and the methods they use to accomplish this.
Symbolic interactionism faces criticism from both those within the field and those outside of it. Critics within the field, referred to as insider critics, focus on the methods and central concepts of symbolic interactionism, particularly the ambiguity of key concepts such as the self. They challenge the usefulness of symbolic interactionism in producing cumulative and generalizable knowledge. For example, the conflict between the Chicago School and the Iowa School in symbolic interactionism reflects a larger debate in the social sciences between subjectivist and objectivist perspectives. The subjectivist approach, also referred to as the humanistic perspective, emphasizes the subjective experiences and perspectives of individuals in shaping their behavior and understanding of the world. On the other hand, the objectivist approach, also known as the positivist or neo-positivist perspective, calls for a more scientific, objective method for studying human behavior and social processes. This debate is not limited to symbolic interactionism, but extends to other subfields of the social sciences, including social psychology. The subjectivist-objectivist dichotomy has long been a source of division within the social sciences and continues to be a topic of debate. On the other hand, outsider critics point out a structural bias in symbolic interactionism, which they believe to be ahistorical, non-economic, and limited in its view of social power and organization. The term ahistorical refers to the lack of consideration of historical context in symbolic interactionism. Critics argue that symbolic interactionism does not take into account the ways in which historical events and developments shape our experiences and behavior. The term non-economic refers to the lack of consideration of economic factors in symbolic interactionism. Critics argue that symbolic interactionism does not take into account the ways in which economic systems and structures shape our experiences and behavior. The term limited in its view of social power and organization refers to the narrow focus of symbolic interactionism on individual interactions and neglect of larger social structures, such as institutions and power relationships. Critics argue that symbolic interactionism does not fully consider the ways in which these structures shape our experiences and behavior, and that it provides a limited view of the role of power and organization in shaping our social world. Basically, these outsider critics argue that symbolic interactionism fails to take into account the broader social and political contexts.